Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today we got another earbud review, Flathead earbuds. And that is this earbud here on my desk. This is Fransun Gen 3 YD900. That's quite a mouthful. Or I think it's also called YD900 Gen 3 because there's a Gen 2 and a Gen 1 I think. And this is my first impression of this brand because I didn't even know this brand existed or that if it's any good. And a few of you, one or two people mentioned and I should review this set a few reviews ago, a few videos back. And then I went ahead and purchased this thing. This is the Gen 3 YD900, the exact stick that I was recommended to review. And I got it and I have been using this thing, well, not that much, but I've had this thing for about a month, maybe even more. And well, I got quite an impression already. I was very impressed. So before talking about that, let's quickly go through the physical characteristics and accessories, not accessibilities. And let's start with the box. And this is the box that it comes with. Nice. There's an anime cartoon girl as always. You can see the name here, YD900. And it's a Shenzhen Fransun. Hi-Fi should not be defined by price. Very true. Flathead earphone series. It's apparently a 16mm PET diaphragm. Japanese import. I don't know what that means, but I know she's 16mm, but I don't know the rest. Or if it's important that it has. It's imported from Japan. And as you can see, there's quite a few variations with this set. You can see there's a Type-C. There's a 3.5mm with a headphone jack. I'm sorry, 3.5mm with a microphone and a no microphones style too. And well, as you can see, my set over here is the one with the USB Type-C and the microphone. So this was actually quite the most expensive version of this thing. And because there was, well, the price on this thing is about between $12 to $17, and this was the most expensive version of it because it has quite a few colors. It has this, as you can see, this is the clear color, but it has like black or like a blue. I don't remember well, but you can check the link as always. It's gonna be down in the description, and you can check it out and see where did I exactly get this thing. And so yeah, this was kind of there was a couple of different colors of it and a couple of different variations. And as you can see, 3.5mm, and I went with the USB-C version because it is actually not mine. I bought this set to gift it to my girlfriend for around like New Year's Eve, Christmas. So and she can't use like 3.5mm because she wants to directly plug it into her phone and whatnot, and which I understand. So I went there and got the USB-C version, which has a built-in DAC. So if I'm hoping that the 3.5mm has the same sound, but anything that I'm reviewing here is for this set. But I'm pretty sure it must have the same kind of tuning as the 3.5mm one, right? So what else comes in the box? There's a card, nice. Some kind of build quality paper. It comes with 2 sets of foams, which are like these full foams, very simple foams, and they are white, which is really nice because 90% of times they just include black foams. And I like it that it doesn't cost much. I wished more companies would like include different colors because there's a lot of colors. So I really welcome the white version over here. And it also came with a carrying bag. As you can see, this is, I'm pretty sure, not leather, but it has this mechanism. So yeah, if you want to use it, I guess it's fine. I don't really use these things, so yeah, it's really nice that they included. As you can see, they quite spoiled us with all this stuff in it, and I really appreciated that, especially for the price. Again, it's between 12 to 17. I paid 17 for this because with the USB-C and the microphone and this color, I think this was the most expensive version. But the least expensive one, the cheapest one, I think it was around 12 to $11. And again, it might differ depending on where you are in the world. and you can check for yourself. So yeah, these are all the stuff that was in the box. So let me just put this aside and let's take a look at the earbud itself, right? As you can immediately tell, this cable is really nice. As you can see, it's one of the thicker cables I've seen on any earbud, and I really like it. So if you don't know, like, the good thing about the thicker cables is that, well, thicker cables are really usually behave better, because you can see it rarely, like, usually my cables don't get tangled a lot, but this never ever got tangled, and it really behaves well. As you can see, it's a very well behaving kind of cable, and I really like that. But the downside of the thicker cables is that they usually kind of are actually weighty, and they weigh down when you're plugged in and have the earphones in your head. They could kind of like slowly, dislodge themselves, and like the fit kind of gets ruined slowly after time. But this was not the case here. Actually, although the cable is really thick, it's actually pretty light too. It's not the lightest, but I've had weightier, heftier cables. So I think this was a perfect balance that they had over here, and I really like that. Just application wise, it's really comfortable. It never gets tangled. It behaves very well, and it looks really durable too. As you can see, it's just in the hand, it feels really sturdy too as well. And yeah, it ends with the USB-C headphone jack, USB-C jack over here. This is the DAC that they're using. I don't know if it's any good or not, so if you know better, please let everyone know in the comments. And oh yeah, the splitter over here too as well. You can see the splitter is really hefty and sturdy too. So it looks really. This has a strain relief over here. This is a wide kind of split. That means that it's not gonna tangle over here too much. So it's really easy. It's just maybe 2 or 3 tanglements in this direction. And compared to other cables, it doesn't get tangled in that direction much. And again, I got mine in this white clear color. As you can see, I really like it. It looks beautiful. Like with this color, it has this, I can zoom more in. It has this clear sheath on top of the cable. This 2-wired kind of cable too. It's really good. So let's go ahead and talk about and look at the heads over here. And if I can remove the phones, as you can see, this is where you can see the beauty of this clear color. It has actually very small head too. Like, this kind of stem part is actually quite like short. So this is one of the best fitting. Again, this is one of the very good fitting earbuds. It's not the best fitting, but it's like top 5. It's one of the best too. This design is really cool, and I like that they just dedicated some resources to just develop their kind of own earbuds. Like, I get the Sennheiser MX500 shell. It's really easy to use it, and if you're a small company, sure. But if you just dedicate a little bit and develop some kind of unique shell, you can see the power of it. I mentioned this in the last review with the Moondrop Nice Buds. Like, I feel like this kind of head design of earbuds have a long way to go. Like, they're already pretty comfortable, but they can make it better too. And as you can see with this thing, it's actually really small, and I really like it. Again, this was actually something that I felt really comfortable on the pillow. As you can see, there's no weird angles over here, so when you sleep on something, it actually gets really flushed, and you can easily go ahead and be very comfortable with it. So as you can see, you are able to see this driver. I guess it's a 16mm driver or so. I don't know, apparently that's what they claim. And as you can see, the wire work, it must not be the most sophisticated kind of wire work over here, but hey, at least it's clear and they're not trying to hide anything. And if you really don't like it, you can go with like a solid color. So, but I really like this color. I think it looks beautiful, and it's sleek too. As you can see, it's the right and the left markers. It says Fransun here. So yeah, let's not talk about this much. The microphone quality, actually, I'm gonna quickly mention, it was good. It has this one button of like play and pause kind of thing, and like if you double press, it would go to the next song, and if you triple press, it would go back. So it's just pretty standard. I would prefer like a two kind of button, which you can like control the sound volume on it too. But hey, getting this is better than getting nothing. And again, if you don't want this, there is a nothing version on it too. So if I zoom out, and we could go ahead and start talking about the sound impressions over here. I don't think there's anything to mention about the build quality here. The build quality, amazing. The design, really unique, really good. So let me give it a wrap and quickly talk about the sound impression over here. So what was the general sound impression with this earbud, right? I would have to describe this as mild V shape, but that depends a lot. And as with IEMs, earbuds, some of them don't really react a lot depending on what kind of like tips you use for IEMs, and here with the earbuds foams you use. But this is one of those earbuds that I found that what kind of foams you use actually change the sound quite noticeably. So I did like for a long time I used this like default foams on it. These are like full foams, very simple ones. They're quite thin. They're really good. Not too thick, not too thin. Just medium standard foams. I tried it with no foams. Actually, that's how my girlfriend uses this with no foams, and I thought the without any foams it was okay. You could definitely use it, but it's not gonna be as impressive as it is with the foams. You're not gonna get the full 100% potential. It's still an okay earbud, but I don't want to really mention a lot about it. It's okay, but today I was listening to this thing and I decided, so let's do all kind of foams, kinds of foams. It was already good with the default foams, and I really didn't have any kind of didn't find myself needing to go ahead and change the sound a little bit, tweak it to make it sound better. But then again, I was like, for the review, let me just try every other foam that I have. And I really want to quickly mention that because especially with these donut foams, as you can see, they have the hole in the middle. These donut foams with this thing just elevated the sound, made everything better. And I'm gonna explain that later when I talk about the sound over here. It just gives a little bit of a space to your sound, and it just definitely elevates all the good, like makes the sound tuning more balanced, and it's just the impression of the bass, it just gets more enjoyable too. But that you'll see in context when I talk about the sound shortly. So I really quickly want to mention that because I can't believe that the whole company dedicates a lot of resources for tuning these things, designing the chassis, but they don't just go ahead. I don't understand, why wouldn't they just include like Fransun? If by any chance you get to watch this thing, which I really don't think which I don't think you would, definitely do consider trying it out. With these deep donut foams, I think they should have really included them just instead of the full foams. At least replace one of the backup sets with the donut sets, right? Because it sounded much better. So they really should try to pay more attention to these things, because the sound on this thing, I would suggest, if you're getting this or if you have this, definitely try to find some of these foams, these donut foams. It would really, you would see the sound improving noticeably too, which is like quite odd because by default with these foams it sounds pretty good already. So again, back to talking about the sound signature over here. It's mild V shape, and that's quite explanatory by itself. So let's go ahead and talk about the different each part of this, and let's start with bass. And as I mentioned, it's mild V shape, so sorry, with mild shape up there's a slight boost in the bass. And let me think, this could be one of the bassier sets that I've heard for the earbuds in this price range, of course. I mean, and that's a really good set too, and that's gonna get a lot more meaning when I talk about the comparisons, like especially compared to Yincrow X6. And this set and Yincrow X6 have the most amount of bass in the budget earbuds that I have heard. So if you're really a bass head that enjoys bass, this is one of those sets that you consider. I think the two sets that you actually are the best options that you consider. There's also a Xian 39 that has a really good bass too, but that's the quality of it. It's a little bit worse than this thing. So Yincrow X6 and this set are the best ones in the bass for the budget, for a budget earbud. And if you're a person who really enjoys bass, yeah, this is definitely something to consider. And the bass over here, well, it's a budget earbud and it's really good. So is there a lot of like details to the bass? There's a good amount of details in the bass, and the bass actually is very tuned. Like, the issue with the Yincrow X6 is that the mid bass, it is mostly mid bass forward, so it's a really good bass, but at the same time it gives a lot of heft and thickness to the lower mids too, and so it just kind of a little bleeds out, which is not always a bad thing. And sometimes you want the thicker sound of the weightier sound of the mids too, and that's the sound characteristics that they can go with thing. But with this thing is that I found this to be exceptionally well separated from the mids, and you would think with a V-shaped sound signature or like something that has an elevated boost of the bass, you would think that it would kind of translate to the mids sounding warmer, but this was not the case here too. So I found the tonality of the bass to be well separated from the mids, and so yeah, there was no definite like forwardness of the mid bass. And so yeah, I think this was a very balanced tuning of the sub bass and the mid bass and high bass too, so they really managed that tuning really well. And yeah, I did hear, what was the accent? And well, I did hear a little bit of a sub bass too, which is always good to hear. And not only the bass, all these things that I described was really good. When I put on the donut phones with it, these sets, when I put these on, the bass got elevated even better. It got a more boost to the bass, and it sounded even thicker and more spacious, and it even didn't really bleed to the mids too. It still kept the separation going, and it just didn't bother and ruin any other kind of experience of the other kind of frequencies, and that's really good too. So yeah, I don't know what else is here to explain. This is a really good bass over here. It's really balanced all across the sub frequencies, sub bass an okay amount. It doesn't have a instant roll off with some other sets. It's not really mid bass forward, and it doesn't give the mids a lot of that characteristics of getting that warmer sound. I'm not saying that's bad, but that's really also really could be good too here. And that leads me to talking about the mids over here. And again, with the mids, you would think that I described this as a V shape, but it's not really that strong of a V shape. It's kind of neutral V shape, and this is one of the more, well, if you know me and you've seen my other reviews, I'm really not a fan of V shape. I always can enjoy it and can appreciate it, but it gets a little fatiguing for me, and that's not my preference to use V shape. But I have to say that this is one of the best, tasteful adaptations of a V-shaped kind of sound signature. And that leads to talking about the mids. As I was saying, the mids are quite well separated from the bass, so there's no warmth to them, and at the same time, it's not getting affected a lot by the treble too, because treble a little bit boosted too as well. And so yeah, like doesn't have that warmth to it, and at the same time it doesn't have that like too much sparkly sound of that dryness of a sound, or like shoutiness, forwardness in the mids a lot too. Just the mids are a little bit forward, a little back in the mix, but it's mostly right there. And if the bass and the treble are here, just the mids are slightly behind. So it's not as strong of a V shape like. So yeah, that's the mids, because like some of the mids that are affected by the treble could get forward a lot and it could sound dry, and that's what I'm talking about. Like with the Yincrow X6, it's a little bit shouty because of the treble, but again, this has really good separation between all these different frequencies, and that really surprised me, right? And what is there to talk about the mids? Well, again, the mids doesn't have a really defining characteristic of this is a warm kind of affected mids. The vocals and the guitars don't sound really warm or too thick, and at the same time they don't sound dry or thin, or they don't sound too elevated. They don't sound super detailed like some sets do, with that they elevate the treble and make the mids too detailed and just focus on that section. No, this is at the same time, if I have to like compare the mids on this thing, it has a really general, neutral, very balanced presentation of it too. Yeah, the mids are very neutral. They're not really elevated in any kind of section, as I was saying. If I could compare it, I would say it sounds kind of, it has the general sound signature of the YD30, yeah, NiceHCK YD30. That again also has a really great and neutral mids. But with that said, it has a really great tonality that comes across from the treble. It might not have that kind of special tonality, but the mids are really true to the song, to the everything that you play. It sounds really natural. It sounds really good. And yeah, it doesn't get affected by the different kind of forms a lot. The forms actually affect the treble and the bass more. And this, whatever you do, you're just balancing those things out to your own liking, and the mids are just staying right there. So that leads me to talking about the last part, which would be the treble. And the treble over here, it doesn't have a really defining character signature. There's a slight peak in the lower treble, which if you don't use the foams, you can immediately tell, oh yeah, this is an elevated bass, and this is an elevated treble. And if you don't use these foams and you just use it just without anything, naked, listen to it, it sounds like really thin. Like the bass immediately goes away, and the treble gets really elevated, like, so it becomes really really bright. And so that's why I said, like, you should definitely use foams with this thing. And the treble over here, well, it has a slight peak in the lower treble, but which is not a lot. It's a slight boost in the treble, and it has a smooth roll off after that. It doesn't do anything special or crazy, that it just gives another slight boost in the higher treble, like the very higher frequencies, to make it sound airy and super detailed. This does not go ahead and do that, and it has a roll off, but it's a very consistent roll off. I don't experience any special kind of dips in the treble, in the mid treble and the high treble. I don't experience any kind of like noticeable peaks or dips in those parts of treble. Maybe slightly a little bit of a peak in the lower treble, which is not a lot, and I've heard definitely worse. It's definitely one of the more balanced tunings of the treble over here. And this is like a real baseline and stable treble too. Like everything that is better than this treble would be the treble that I would praise for being special. Like the NiceHCK EB2S Pro, it has a better treble, which they're doing some magic and boosting some frequencies in the higher treble and something and lowering some frequencies in the lower treble. And this is not doing that kind of thing. It's a really stable set, and they did not go crazy with this thing. They went ahead and made it a little bit of a V-shaped kind of sound signature over here, but again, they made it mild, they made it sophisticated, and it's actually really respectful. It's just not trying to go and do anything crazy, which is the point, is that everything in the competition in this price range is doing something exceptional at some point. Again, it has some shortcomings in some kind of area as well too, right? It has some caveats, it has a catch. But this thing, with the tuning of it, it doesn't have a really bad catch, and that's a good thing too. It sounds really stable in all parts, and yeah, it sounds really stable in those parts. Again, so that's the general sound impression. Again, there's not a lot to go ahead and into details, because there's nothing crazy with the tonality, there's nothing crazy with the weight and the warmth of the thinness, because it's like really avoiding all of those downfalls, and it's not going for something crazy to achieve something and then like have some shortcomings in some other area. It's really balanced and stable kind of tuning and sound signature generally over here. and that's gonna get a lot of more meaning when I talk about it. Put this thing into context and compare it to other sets. So I do want to quickly mention the technical performance with this set too. And the technical performance, I kind of forgot my rating. I had a rating system at some point, but this is one of the really better kind of technical performances. Again, I don't remember if I called the EB2S Pro in this price range below $30, below 50, because there's not much in this 50. It's just there's like a 30 and there's like one or two at 50 and like a couple at the 80 and 100. So yeah, it's just below, you could say below 50. EB2S Pro has the best technical performance. This would be right behind that, right? If I said that was a level 4, level 3, this would be level 3 or level 2. I think they called that level 5, so this would be level 4. This is a really, really capable technical performance. It has from my other like reviews that I talk about some other good earbuds. I don't know, like YD900 and NiceHCK YD900. This definitely has better technical performance. It's quite a few steps ahead, levels ahead of the Moondrop NiceBuds, something like that. So yeah, you can definitely hear some positioning to it. You could play games with it, it's really good, but I would still, when I have the EB2S Pro, I would use that because that's a little bit better. You can hear some good positioning and some the stage. Actually, you would think all the earbuds have great stage, all of them, but no, actually between earbuds too, some of them have better sound stage and presence than others. This is one of the better ones actually. Again, not as wide and precise as the EB2S Pro, but it was still right up there. I think after the EB2S Pro, I think this would be the second best performing technically, like very close to Yincrow X6, if you're familiar with that set. And yeah, with the tonality too as well, it's really safe and the tonality sounds good too. And all of these, I'm saying in mind that they are using the default foams, but when I use the donut foams again, the technical performance improved a little bit. You might not think just foams have a lot of effect on the sound, but the thing is that just the tiny half a millimeter or millimeter difference of the thickness of the foam and the way it gets positioned in your ear has a lot of effect. And I used the donut foams. It would distance the treble a little bit ahead, further from your head, and that would kind of elevate the bass a little bit more and relax the treble a little bit and make it that sounds like a little bit more spacious, because it's just slightly further ahead because it was thicker. It was slightly further from your eardrum, and that's again, like that's something that if you have a different kind of anatomy of the ear could play different parts. So it's really hard to say and try to separate this thing from the HRTFs from what everyone's head related transfer function sounds different on. Sorry. So yeah, the technical performance on here is really good, really decent. It's right up there with the great ones in this price range, especially for this price range. It's really good. It's nothing crazy. Don't get me wrong. If some crazy set is there out there that's going to do something crazy with the technical performance, it would be EB2S Pro. So I've kind of touched on everything over here, and I've kind of done some kind of comparisons. Then again, let me just wrap up the comparisons and do a more detailed comparison with a few sets over here that I have. First set, again, I don't have my Yincrow X6, so yeah, I'm gonna use this set. Let's not pretend that this is the Yincrow X6. This is actually the NiceHCK YD900, and you can see the behavior of the cable here. Again, between Yincrow X6 and Fransun Gen 3 YD900, like, put a better name. First of all, let me just choose a better name, Fransun. Like, what is Gen 3 YD900? Select a better name, please. And between Yincrow X6 and this set over here, again, like when I was like listening to this thing, I was really thinking about the Yincrow X6, and for a long time I was saying like, yeah, they go head to head. What is the difference is that the Yincrow X6 is more energetic, so it has elevated bass, it has more amount of bass, it's more rumbly, you could say, but the treble is slightly not as consistent. So it's a whammy. So if you could say that there's a bit more bass with the Yincrow X6. It's a little bit more warmer tilting of kind of a more energetic and more not as mild of a V shape. It's a more kind of a V shape, and Fransun is just a little bit of a milder. It's a little bit more sophisticated. It's a little bit more less bassy and more tilting towards the treble. Again, the treble with this thing compared to the Yincrow X6, the treble sounds definitely better. Like the drums, especially if you listen to music that are like energetic. Like I was listening to metal today and it sounded really great. Progressive metal like the Maghreb by Tundra, Let Me Feel the Pain by Acheth. These two songs sounded really good because the bass, guitar plugs sounded really great. You could hear the bass line definitely, and you could definitely, if you really like drums, the drums on this thing sounds the best. Like not even EB2S Pro, not even Yincrow X6. I was loving the drums on this thing. You could follow every kind of hit, and it had a really great positioning too. You could hear it move around, and it sounded really good with the drums. The combination of like everything was done right. And yeah, compared to Yincrow X6, this has better treble, maybe less amount of bass. Yincrow X6 has more bass, but less consistent, not as good as of a treble. I would personally suggest a milder kind of V shape because that fatigues me less. And I would choose like 9 out of 10 times I would choose the Fransun over the Yincrow X6. And I would suggest people usually to when they ask when I get asked like what kind of budget set of earbud do you suggest, I usually have three options. You have NiceHCK EB2S Pro. That's the best technical performance, but it has a neutral, brightish tuning. If you really don't like that and you really want the bass, you like energetic, you like a V-shaped sound, I would go ahead and say try this or Yincrow X6. Alternatively, you could use these things. Upon more investigation and thinking and like you listening to this thing, I would say I would prefer this, but again, there's some caveat of like what is your preferences. So I would say it's in the same level of Yincrow X6. But the two sets are still pretty good, and Yincrow X6 has a legendary position, as everyone knows that set. So yeah, that's the comparison between these two sets. And as I mentioned, this is the next comparison, EB2S Pro. I kind of did a kind of comparison. Again, for my opinion, the best technically performing earbud between 50 or in this price range. This is actually around 20 bucks, so they're not kind of that far off. Although Yincrow X6 is around 10 bucks, this is around 12, but because of the version I got, it's 17. This is around 20, so yeah, they're really kind of close. And for this price range, I would always say that the EB2S Pro has the best kind of technical performance, but it's definitely, you can hear less bass on it. It's more neutral, and the treble is pulled back a little bit compared to this thing. This thing has definitely more treble right in your face. This is pulled back, but the amount of detail you're getting a little bit better. You're comparing these two back to back was really interesting because I was hearing more treble here, but somehow I was getting more details over here. And it's kind of has space, the positioning in the soundstage is kind of further ahead with the EB2S Pro, so everything has more stage and more space around it to radiate sound. And yeah, this one had a general better sensation of treble and better technical performance, other than the bass. Obviously, you were hearing a lot more bass and the details in the bass. This has more of an analytical, sub-bassy kind of sound. You're hearing a boomy bass, but it's not really enveloping, it's not rumbly. This is more rumbly and aggressive, like, you know, those details of the plugs of the bass guitar. You were hearing more of those details here too, but this was kind of like bass-liney compared, like more compressed bass with this set. And yeah, so if anyone I say that if you don't really care as much, really want the bass, you don't like the neutral bright kind of tuning, this is definitely would be my second option for them to suggest, like, if you don't want something bright, you want something the best performance and the best performance and something like a little bit of energetic, mild V-shape, not too much neutral, I would suggest this thing. But if you like definitely neutral, I can't really tell. So this is a neutral V-shape, this is a neutral brightish. They're in different kind of ballparks generally. Sorry. And so yeah, this is the difference between these two. Yeah. So let me put this ahead. And honestly, like comparing Yincrow X6 and EB2S Pro, this kind of sits in the middle of them, right? That's the kind of thought that I had, because again, this says V-shape kind of sound signature and this is neutrally more. And if you get the average of these two, something in the middle that's not too V-shapey and that's not too neutral, something more bass than this thing, and a little bit better of a technical performance here and a little bit of a less of a technical performance here. This is kind of like the average of these two great sets. Everyone knows Yincrow X6 and EB2S Pro have been legendary, and making an average of these two, it's really great. And that shows that where this thing sits, and actually price-wise it kind of sits there too, especially for like $12 if you get the basic version. This is a really amazing like value. This is, you're getting the most amount of bucks and like value for your buck, right? This is kind of going like giving you a lot more, especially considering like all the packaging and like this bag and like one set of backup and the design on this thing, better cable and like a dedicated chassis compared to X6. X6 uses the common chassis. It doesn't give, I mean, it got a time, kind of gives you some kind of foams, but I would say like, yeah, you can, I explained the differences between all of these sets. You can be your own judge and think what do you prefer between all of these sets and make your decision compared to that, based on that. And yeah, I think that would be this for this review. In conclusion, I really like this set. I think this would be my go-to suggestion alongside these two sets for anyone in this price range for a budget set, especially for the price of $12. I think this is outperforming a lot of things, and this is the peak competition. This is where the competition is at. It's giving you so much great design, unique design, beautiful, great build quality, and a great sound with a great technical performance and very good tuning too. It's just a matter of what your preferences are. Yeah, this is like these three would be the three juggernauts, top three suggestions, and everything is kind of behind all of these things, right? Just these three are pulling ahead of the competition, especially EB2S Pro and these two. X6 is good, but it's not as technical. It's around $10, so it's like cheaper. But like compared to this thing, this is also $12. But yeah, let me not repeat myself too much. And in my conclusion, yeah, this is a great set. I don't know if I should give ratings. If I were to give ratings to my earbuds, yeah, this would definitely give 5 out of 5 stars. Definitely hard recommendation. If you have the money, just definitely try it. And if you definitely have money, please try the donut foams and try to purchase some kind of donut foams and try it with these two, because I'm telling you, I'm not exaggerating. A lot of sets, I did not expect there were a lot of sets to compare, improve a lot, get affected a lot. I hadn't experienced this by the different kind of foams used, but this thing got a lot of improvement with these sets, and it was kind of going head to head with this thing because it got a little bit more stagey and openness of a sound. Technically, it was almost competing with the EB2S Pro. Still, EB2S Pro had more details, but the amount of like the hits and the delineation of the bass you were getting, much better. And yeah, that would be my review for this set. Again, please like and subscribe. I'm trying to do more reviews soon. I'm sorry if it gets kind of late because I had to deal with the university exams and whatnot. As you know, it was like a month of those exams and whatnot, whatever. And yeah, it got kind of late, so I'm hoping to do more comparisons. So let me know If there's something I forgot to talk about with the sound on this thing, it wasn't clear, you need me to explain it more. If there are more comparisons you want me to make, specific kind of earbud you have, in a specific kind of range or some kind of performance, yeah, definitely let me know. I'll answer you in the comments. I'll read and answer all the comments. So thank you for watching this review. Stay safe and goodbye.